Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So I'd like to go over exactly how the Module 23 Dragon Hunts are actually going to work. The first thing you will do is you'll head to Sergeant Knox, you'll pick up a quest from him. Then you'll head to this area just here. And you have a bunch of NPC and some vendors as well. You will pick up a quest from this guy and he'll essentially send you on a storyline quest to go and defeat this red dragon. You'll fight him in this first arena, reduces HP to 75%, and then you'll have to navigate along some pathways and fight a few groups of enemies, and then you'll encounter the boss again, and then you'll get him down to 50% health. At that point, he'll fly off again, and then you'll go track him down to the next arena. You're just following a pathway, again killing some ads, and then you defeat the boss. And then you'll come back and you'll hand back in the quest. And then you'll have to do that again. Now, you'll then go and kill your next dragon. Now, you might get the red one again, you might get a white one, a blue one, or a black one, or even a green one. And each of those themed dragons have different layers. You can see the black one looks entirely different. These young dragons you're going to have to solo, unfortunately, and you are indeed accessing them through the queues. If we look just here, we can see we have our dragon hunts, and we can see that the first young hunt will need 1 player, and that's it. You're not able to go in with more players. The adult hunts will need 3 and the ancient ones will need 5. You can of course queue up to these with a lesser amount of players. And so you complete your second young dragon hunt, hand back in the quest, and then you will be told to go and kill 5 adult dragons. So again, you're queuing up, you're going fighting those adult dragons. This time you can bring 2 other players with you. Now you will have to do this 15 times. The first 5 times you do it, you'll complete the quest, hand that in. You get another one telling you to kill 10 more. You'll kill 10 more and that will finally unlock you the ancient dragons, and then you'll be able to queue up to that. Now you'll only be able to fight the ancient dragons and queue up to it if you actually have it unlocked. So you'll have to have some friends, or at least some other people that you queue with, who also have done those 15 adult dragon hunts. Now the ancient dragon hunts is what's going to allow you to essentially get this mythic gear, to get the reagents to buy the mythic gear. Otherwise you can grind out this purple stuff, you don't need to fight ancient dragons. But the most important reagent here is these Dragon's Ridges, which is going to cap you on the amount of mythic gear you can get per week, unfortunately, with a weekly cap of 80, and each mythic piece costs about 65 there, and some of them only at 60. And then you will also get multiple different drops from those dragons as well that you will need for that gear, and I'll go over that later on how to actually obtain that gear, at least in another video, and how long the grind will take you. But essentially you'll go into these ancient dragon hunts, and for example we'll go in, you get the lobby area here. This is where you can place some modifiers, and this is where you can start the hunt. So make sure don't start the hunt before you put any modifiers, and you get different tiers of modifiers, and you can see exactly which ones. For example, I'll choose this one, it's maximum tier 3, and we can click ready, and then you get your encounter. You can have 3 different ones for the ancient dragon fights. Those modifiers you're getting within your useful item section of your inventory. Here you can see all the different modifiers, and you'll need particular modifiers for what gear pieces you need or reagents you need, and you can see that within the collections. These are all the reagents you need, and they clearly show which of those modifiers you need to be using to get this to drop. And if you get this modifier on tier 3, like we have one of them just here, then you will have a guaranteed drop of the reagent every time you beat your dragon. So you're going to have to do a bit of grinding. You're going to have to get these reagents, these elemental strands, to essentially get these unlocked. You can see first, like this one here, we don't have it, but we can unlock it there, spending that and a bit of astral diamonds. Now we have it unlocked, and then we could upgrade them to rank 2, and then you can upgrade them lastly to rank 3. And the rank 3s is definitely what you want for the guaranteed drop of these purple pieces will just ditch this hunt here. There's no penalty whatsoever. You can join and leave as many times as you want. Let's say you always want to fight red dragons, you could keep leaving and joining and hopefully get your red dragon hunt and then go and partake in it. But you can see the reagents for the mythic gear. You will need, for example, these bones, you will need these wings here, and you will also need this hardened plates, and those are the 3 reagents here. And you can see they have different types of modifiers that you will need to use in order for them to drop. And if you have a tier 3 modifier, then you will 100% get the drop every time you defeat the dragon at the end. And those different modifiers have different penalties. For example, this one randomly will choose one of your player power categories and they'll be disabled for a short duration, and then that's about 20 seconds, and then you'll be relieved for 20 seconds, and then another 20 seconds you'll be disabled. That might be your at-wills, that could be your encounters, and that could be your dailies. It's never going to be all at once, so that's at least there. But there are other modifiers which are even worse. You're going to have ones that will completely just disable your artifact mount and potion slots, and then this one here, you'll take damage whenever you use your at-wills. The rest don't seem too much of a penalty. Perhaps reducing your defense and offensive stats will be a bit harsh, but this is only a medium one, and it will depend again what modifiers. Make sure to look at the names. For example, rotting chaos or rotating chaos is what we need to get these hardened plates. We can also use easily interrogated, and then you have the ones there, and then the easier modifiers you can see will give you these other 2 reagents, which will give you essentially the lesser gear, but you can actually get some mythic rings with that as well. You can see on the first section here. Down here you'll need these fangs, you can see, or the claws. Actually, you'll just need the claws for those rings, and then you'll just need it's all just horns for the chest plates there. And that's about it for these dragon hunts. So what you will end up doing is repeating those dragon hunts until you get enough of these reagents and enough of the drops from the dragons. For example, you need dragon's ridges, you need dragon scales, and then you need these elemental strands. And those elemental strands you can get just by killing normal enemies, and if you have abundance of one type of strand and don't need it, you can always trade it out for some other type. But it is a pretty harsh trade ratio of 400 is to 100 of the type you want. And that's about it for the dragon hunts. Those of you who are concerned about Tyranny of Dragons campaign disappearing, and then what am I going to do when I'm trying to build up my guild? Where do I get these Tyranny of Dragon currencies for essentially the Tyranny of Dragons treasures for my guild? Well, when you kill enemies, you will get this 6th element, which is the chromatic elemental strand, and this can be donated to your guild in the coffer, and that will give your guild those dragon treasures. So don't worry too much, and you're getting those chromatic ones by killing just enemies, and it's the same with the rest of the elemental ones. I'm going to make another video on how to efficiently farm those and where you should go for each of the different types. Essentially, you will be farming these for your gear. You can see they all need like 1,000 of an element type. See, the purple stuff needs it, and so does the mythic stuff. And then you will also need a lot of those element things essentially for your upgrading the modifiers. You will ideally want somebody in your party who can place these tier 3 modifiers so that you can get as many of the reagents you need in one go of essentially the fight. Of course, it will depend on your group how much difficulty you can have to be able to essentially, complete it. And this is going to limit us. This weekly cap on the dragon ridges, I'll go over this again, and it's going to limit us on how much mythic gear we can get per week. And yes, essentially then what you're going to be doing. There is a campaign here as well, Dragon Slayer, which the currency is these dragon ridges, and essentially you can get 560 of those. It's going to take you quite a long time, but we will see. I still need to test out a tier 3 modifier in an ancient dragon hunt, see how many dragon ridges I drop. I assume it's only going to be like 3. You potentially will get more because currently you can roll on on some of that loot, and that's not intended as of right now. They did make a post here of, you can see just here, that the certain loot, strands and dragon parts are incorrectly put on need or greed instead of going directly to the player's inventory. So that would be divided up. Otherwise, there is an effect where you can get stunned for an exceptionally long amount of time, which is a bit ridiculous, but yeah, just that should be fixed. And otherwise, we can see that Tiamat and Demogorgon trials are getting updated. So that's good news, I guess. Especially Demogorgon was not in a good place for the random trial queue that took it out a while back. And that's good to hear they're doing something about it. Overall, that's going to be the Dragon Hunts. It's going to be quite a repetitive grind. Those of you who are newer players, unfortunately, getting your hands on mythic gear, it's not going to be impossible, but it's going to be a long grind if you can't do those ancient dragons with the top tier modifiers. You at least want to have like a tier 3 modifier to get you these reagents that you need for the gear, especially getting those dragon ridges. You do initially get a chunk of dragon ridges just by completing the quests. Initially you get about 42, I believe, and we're currently on 54 after beating, I believe, 3 of those ancient dragons. And that was also because everybody was giving me the dragon ridges. Overall, hopefully this has been somewhat insightful to you guys as to what these dragon hunts are going to entail. Again, I will make a more detailed video going over the mythic gear and exactly how you can obtain it, like what you need to be doing within those dragon hunts and how long the grind is going to take you. But as of right now, we can already tell that yes, it's going to be capped 1 gear piece per week pretty much. It doesn't seem to be limited to your account, just per character. So you could theoretically grind it out on multiple characters and then essentially get each piece of gear, and those gear pieces are account bound, so you can switch them between your characters when needed, but as soon as you bind them on a character, then they're stuck on that character. So with that said, I'd like to give a special thank you to all of my channel members for helping me keep my channel going. And if I presented this well, consider leaving a video like. If you're new around here, consider subscribing. We'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.